Chapter 16, Mishnah 2. This Mishnah gives examples of the two laws stated at the end of the previous Mishnah, that a movable object can act as an ohel to bring tuma upon itself no matter its size, but it cannot act as an ohel to spread tuma to other objects lying beneath it unless it is a tefach square. The Mishnah begins with an example of an object smaller than a tefach bringing tuma on itself. How is this? What is a case in which an object acts as an ohel to bring tuma on itself no matter its size? A spindle, a long thin utensil used for spinning thread, was stuck into a wall. A half kazayas of a corpse was under the spindle, and another half kazayas of a corpse was above the spindle. Even if the two pieces of the corpse are not aligned, that is, the piece under the spindle is under one part of the spindle, and the piece above the spindle is over a different part of the spindle is tame. Since both pieces are connected to the spindle through ohel, the piece above the spindle is an ohel over the spindle, and the spindle is an ohel over the piece under it, they combine to form a full kazayis of a corpse. It emerges from this law that an object acts as an ohel and brings tuma upon itself if it is any size, since the spindle is thinner than a tefach, and nevertheless becomes tame from these pieces of a corpse. The Mishnah gives an example of the next law taught in the previous Mishnah, that an object cannot act as an ohel to spread tuma unless it is a tefach square. A potter was walking, and on his shoulder was a carrying pole with pots hanging from it. He passed a grave, and one end of the pole formed an ohel over the grave. If the pole is less than a tefach wide, the utensils, i.e. the pots hanging from the other end of the pole, are tahor, because an object less than a tefach wide cannot be an ohel to spread tuma to things under it. But if the carrying pole is a tefach square, it is an ohel, and the pots are tame. The Mishnah turns to a different subject. From here until the end of the chapter, the Mishnah discusses the laws of various places that are suspected to contain corpses. Mounds of earth that are close to a city that is near a cemetery, or mounds that are close to a road near a cemetery. Whether the mounds are new or old, they are tame. If a mound is near a city, we suspect that a woman who miscarried buried her fetus there. And if a mound is near a road, we suspect that people were once traveling on the road on Friday afternoon to bury someone. It got too late to reach the burial place before Shabbos, so they buried the body in a mound near the road. Where the mounds are far from the city or road, if they are new, they are tahor, because a woman will not travel alone to bury a fetus so far from the city. And people burying someone on Friday will not go far from the road to do the burial. We can therefore assume that the mound does not contain a corpse. But if the mounds are old, they are tame, because we suspect that the mound was once close to a city or road, but the city or road was destroyed and forgotten. Having taught that a mound close to a city is tame even if it is new, and an old mound is tame even if it is far from the city, the Mishnah defines what is considered close and old with regard to these laws. What is close? 50 amos. If a mound is within 50 amos of a city or road, it is tame even if it is new. And what is old? 60 years. If a mound is 60 years old and it is tame even if a mound is 60 years old, it is tame even if it is far from the city or road. These are the words of Rabbi Meir, another opinion. But Rabbi Yehuda says a close mound is one that is the closest mound to a city, with no other mound closer than it. And an old mound is one that no one remembers when it was made. But if people remember when the mound was made, but do not remember any city or road being next to it, the mound is tahor, even if it is more than 60 years old.